Okay, the first one I see that's got 8 thumbs up is from Cheryl Toomey. Thanks for having a show tonight, even though you're really busy. Well, thank you. It helps more than you know. Well, thank you, and me too. Here's my question. The more I talk with leftists, the more convinced I am that there can be no middle ground. Our minds just work too differently. The way we approach political and socioeconomic issues seems to originate from diametrically opposed viewpoints. It's not that we are selfish in our respective goals, it's that what is inherently important to us will never converge into a mutual point. Taking this observation into consideration, how would you begin to bring the two sides together? Well, as we were discussing last time, when we were talking about Dave Rubin, I think the first step is just to have two individuals who manifest respect, and I don't mean just kind of show respect or are respectful. They got to manifest it. They got to make it like a point. And once you put things into that kind of a moral plane, you're ahead of the game, because there is so much hostility and there's so much misrepresentation and so on and so forth that if you sit down and say we're going to find out what we respectfully agree and disagree on here, that's a really good start. The problem is you have to break things down very, very low, and you have to be you also have to be willing to re-examine some fundamental premises. And I've talked about this before, but I think this is the main issue. The reason why we seem like we're talking past each other, and everything they say sounds stupid and everything we say sounds evil. And it comes down to heuristics, which I don't understand terribly well, but I probably understand well enough to, just because I don't know about anything doesn't mean I can't talk about it for an hour. I think we've proven that already. But basically, heuristics are mini lessons. They're small little stories, data points. They're like I said, like mini stories is probably the best way to think of it in terms of just getting a handle on it. Experience is probably a better word. And all of our lives are built out of these heuristics, and complex ones are built on simple ones. And the example I've used before is, especially if you're a kid and you reach out and you touch a glowing hot burner on an oven, you won't do that again. You don't have to learn that every single time. The fact that you won't do it again is a heuristic, and the fact that you won't touch anything that's glowing orange is also a heuristic. So all of these little lessons of life we learn and we accept as part of our sensory apparatus. We just know that, when you get around heights, a lot of people get very cautious. It's not a bad trait to have if you're descended from creatures that lived in the trees. Not a bad trait to have at all. Is to have a fear of falling and edges and so on. So what you'd have to do is you have to take these complex heuristics, like Democrats are idiots and traitors and Republicans are awesome and good looking, and break them down into simple things. And when you can get them down low enough, that's when experiences start to become in common, because most everybody's been burned by something. It's something you can connect to, and you have to build it up from there. Now, in order to do that, you certainly have to have people who are willing to change their mind if they can, and also I think you have to have people who value reason. That's really it. You can't. I don't think you can get to the other side by emotion. In fact, it's emotion that's keeping us apart. It's a good point there. David Wellman just pointed out a heuristic is if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Yeah. So these are how we build things, and this is how intelligence works. We don't have to constantly relearn everything all the time. So you have to have but if you're going to change people's minds, and you can get the heuristics down to a low enough level as burning burners and walking ducks, then you have to be able to be convinced of something that you may have been unaware of. And you may have to change your mind, and you got to be willing to do that. And in order to change my mind, it usually takes reason. And it does seem that they don't particularly care for reason. And one of the reasons we're in such trouble is because they were trying to replace reason with emotion. Reason is very powerful, but it's not just powerful in terms of finding things out. It's powerful in terms of keeping people together. Reason is a language that all people of goodwill or intellectual integrity can practice. You don't have to be a genius to understand reason. Reasoning is the entire basis of trade. Reasoning is the basis of language. Reasoning is everything. And to give it up is to put you at a huge disadvantage, and to purposely try to destroy the idea of reason, which is what the left is doing now, because it's a white male patriarchal racist construct, reason. And my favorite part of reason is reason doesn't give a damn about what you think about it. Reason doesn't care. So you've got to have that kind of commitment too, I think. So I think that would be what it would take. So there we go.